to Gay Fat Friend and Friends, the podcast. The podcast for little monsters. Put your paws up. I am your host, Todd, aka Gay Fat Friend, and joining me as always now, from now on, is my teeny tiny adorable husband, Rob.
Hello, joining
Hi.
you as typical.
Right?
Yeah.
Hi, baby.
Hi.
It's funny, we are a couple, but we are also a pair, all right? And we have low booking fees. You book one of us, you get two. You get two for one. How's your Sunday going?
Good. Sleepy, but like in a good way.
Yeah, it's like almost January here in Seattle, so it is
Yes.
quite cold and overcast. We get spoiled a few days in the spring and like a little bit of late spring, pre-summer, where it's like 75 and sunny, and you're like, great, summertime, can't wait. And then boop, right back down to 50.
Well, and this morning I had the usual Ruby wake-up call, which is to say there's a dog in my face,
Yeah.
kind of clawing at me for attention. And I was wearing my night mask because I was like, no, we're sleeping in. We're not seeing the sun yet. And she was both a good baby, and you hopped on that grenade pretty quickly and took care of her this morning so I could keep sleeping. So thank you.
So Ruby does 2 poop walks a day. That's where we walk the whole block so she can poop. One is at usually 8:30 or 9 a.m. when we wake up.
Yeah.
And the other is at 6 p.m. right before she has dinner.
And I'm typically morning
Right.
dad, which is funny because that is a role I never thought I would have.
Yeah. Like our old dog, Braddock, she was a pug, and she was just a part of our routine. Like whatever time we woke up, if we slept till noon, she's like, cool, I'll sleep till noon as well, Dad.
Yeah.
But Ruby loves a schedule.
Oh no, she has a routine, and you will meet it.
Yeah.
Or
she's
she
very
will be
timely.
or she'll be in your face. Like the best is like at 8 p.m. is when she gets her final sort of treat for the night, which
she
is
gets
like
a whimsy dental chew.
yeah, and she loves it, and it's very much part of her routine. And I love telling this story because, like, right when we were on our 2-week trial adoption of her, still, she'd only had a whimsy nightly at 8 p.m. for, like, I don't know, 9 days. Like, it was not that much of a routine for her yet. And all of a sudden, like, 8:30 p.m., I'd forgotten, and she was just at my knees just staring at me, and I was like, what is your deal? Are you gonna murder me? Because she has, like, a very intense stare.
Yeah.
And she was just making eye contact and would not break it. And I was like, I trust you, but also you're a little scary right now because, like, you're a strange dog still in our home. And all of a sudden, she starts doing this little jaw tooth movement where she starts, like, almost kind of clenching to sort of like a little,
Yeah.
just a little
Just
bit.
like nipping at the air.
Yeah, little chomp, and I was like, "Oh, you're normally chewing on something right now." And then all of a sudden, we went to go where those were, and she freaked out, and I was like, "Oh, I thought this was just like a sometimes thing, and like we don't have to stock these permanently." And that is when I realized this is part of her nightly ritual, and it's adorable.
Yeah.
And seriously, it's like there's nothing else in her routine that when we say it, she gets like mini zoomies quite like that. So
Yeah, she knows the questions. She knows the words. She knows the time of day. She's such a smart dog.
Yeah.
I-
Sorry, we
I-
just love her so much.
We love her so much, and like our pug was smart, but she was dumb.
Oh
too.
yeah, No, Braddock was smart enough to train us, but she was not a smart animal.
Like pugs are food obsessed, and so she knew like the sound of a chip bag. She knew the sound of walking in the kitchen. She like
French fries.
yeah, she had a very good sniffer when it came to food. So like she was very much on top of whenever we were eating food or like where food was stored, but not so much time of day. But Ruby has some kind of internal clock. I'm fascinated. Like if anybody out there knows the science behind it, but like Ruby knows things to the hour, and I'm like, how does your brain? How are you telling time? Is it from the sun? Is it literally just some kind of internal clock that's like it's been 7 hours since I've done this thing?
Because she's still eerily accurate with the crazy variance that we have in daylight here.
Yeah,
Although
and
like,
daylight savings.
she does get a little crazy, like all dogs do, but like she has a really strong instinct still, even when our days get like halved in length.
Yeah.
Of when things should be happening to her. It's kind of she's very perceptive.
Seattle is the furthest north either of us have ever lived, and I did not realize that on the planet. I mean, I knew that like in Alaska, there's a couple weeks in the winter where the sun never rises.
Yeah, like 40 days of night.
But I didn't realize in the contiguous 48 states, that there were places where the sun stays up longer and then in the winter stays down longer. I didn't think it was going to happen. We're not that far away from like LA.
I never had a summer where the sun sets at like 10:30.
Yeah, like right now the sun. Last night I was kind of paying attention because we were watching Gaga's Chromatica ball on HBO, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yes.
But I was looking at the clock and it was 9:45 and the sky was still light. Like the sun had set, but it was still pretty bright.
Which it is funny because sometimes we have like, let's wait until the sun goes down to start this movie, and it's like, oh yeah, during the
10
summer,
PM.
you got to shut the curtains.
Yeah, they
if you
do.
Want that.
Like right at the summer solstice in June, which is the longest daylight day of the year. They do like midnight sunset parties on the beach. Like you can still see part of the sun's glow at like 11:30.
No, thank you. I'm too old for that.
It's just it's whimsical on days when you want it, but other days when you're like, come on, we want to watch this movie. We have a very bright living room. We don't want to close all the curtains.
Right.
Can the sun just set at 6? But then, like I said, the inverse. In the winter, the sun will set at 3 p.m. and all of a sudden you're just in full darkness at 3:45 and you're like, what the hell is going on?
Right. It's just a little oppressive at that point. Like,
it's
and
very
it seems
odd.
like there's very minimal in between. Like it's not like, oh yeah, we have a period where it sets at 7:45. No, it's like either 4 p.m. or midnight.
It's all extremes.
There is no in the middle. But I guess it just kind of passes so gradually that you don't notice. But like it still feels like we got two extremes.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, back to Ruby. If there are any dog scientists, no. If there are any dog scientists out there that know how dogs tell time, I would love to know because I am fascinated by Ruby. She is so freaking smart. But yeah, like I just said, like I opened with Little Monsters, Gaga's Chromatica Ball documentary, which it's just a concert film. It's not a documentary.
Yeah. Premiered
on HBO last night and we watched it because we're good little monsters. And I really liked it. I thought it was a little aggressive. We did not get to go to the concert, and I told Rob last night because, like I said, Lady Gaga is my number one. I have her tattooed on my arm. If she does another ball, which I'm sure she will with LG7, if she does another ball, we kind of have to go because I do need to see her again. I got to see her at her start at Lollapalooza in 2007 or whatever when she was still a brunette and she played a 2 p.m. daytime show. But I need to see like a full Gaga ball show because I want to experience it. But I remember when the Chromatica Ball was happening and she was talking about her stage design, she like designed it as this like really big brutalist architecture stage, and she wanted it to kind of reflect the times of the world and stuff like that. But watching it now a couple years after the fact, it was an aggressive show. It was a very aggressive show.
Well, and it's weird. Like, I don't want to, because honestly, I really like Lady Gaga, and I think she's an immense talent. And I really I enjoy almost all of her music as well. And I like her spectacle. I kind of expected a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's that it's a couple of years old or what, but like that we've gotten spoiled by other things. But I don't know. Like, I was thinking about like concert films we've watched recently. And obviously like the Eras Tour movie is probably the one that most will be judged against for a while. Yeah. Although we haven't seen the Renaissance movie, which I'm hoping that
is that ever going to happen. That's so weird, right? That Beyonce has not released that.
There's got to be a way for her to monetize that better.
And the fact that it was only in theaters for one weekend,
right? So yeah, I feel like, I'm curious how that one is. But the Eras Tour is obviously, I think, the movie to compare most concert films to right now. But even then, I was thinking back to like the Ariana Grande one that was on Netflix, and like that one had more energy to it and it had more, I guess, artistry as a movie. It
didn't just show the stage show. It also showed backstage and like prep.
But even then, I think largely, one of my favorite things was a lot of, they just did, it's so funny because it happened a lot on the Ariana Grande one during hair flips. They would do like an effect where it would kind of like freeze the action, or they would speed up or slow down the footage to kind of like make a bigger moment out of it. And it was very small, little stuff like that. And like this Gaga one had quite a few like kind of, camera effects going on. But I don't know. There was something odd about it.
Yeah.
And like, I was glad to see it. And but like, yeah, it was missing, I think, some of that sort of Gaga fairy dust that I would expect.
Well, it's I didn't realize this, and I'm kind of like playing it back in my head of other shows because she also did like I think she did the Monsters Ball documentary for HBO, and I think she did another one. They're all kind of blending together, but I forgot she always does kind of start her show just into songs. and she is hardcore, just like song choreography, and then she does like a sitting at the piano bit. That's when she finally talks to the audience. I feel like with Eras Tour, Taylor kind of talks to the audience and tells just like little stories and says hello and stuff like that right away.
Yeah.
But Gaga is one of those that like starts the show, performs really hardcore for about, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes, and then does a sit down section and starts talking to the audience, which is a little, it's not my style. Like, I want to hear more stories. Like, if I'm paying to see a concert, I don't want to just see the songs. I need a little bit, story time, personality stuff.
And there are some artists that don't have personality, and it's fine. Just do your set list, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's like we were talking about. Like, if you're seeing Adele and she is not riffing and laughing between songs, you didn't really see Adele.
Yeah, like you go to an Adele show for the stories.
Yeah, you go there because she is the most wonderful, unhinged mess.
She's just
on
so
stage.
silly.
She's so great. I like. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's part of the appeal of that, obviously, and like she's got a crazy set of pipes.
Well,
but,
and even like
you get to hear the jokes in between.
I've seen Fiona Apple so many times.
Oh.
And Fiona tells the same stories and has the same story breaks and talking to the audience, because I've seen her on the same tour in multiple cities.
Highly
And so-
trained introvert.
Yeah.
She is.
And so she almost has like a script of her banter, which at least she's talking to us, like I guess it's assumed people aren't going to go to the same show in various cities. It's not like, when you follow Dave Matthews and every show is different every single night.
Well, and we've talked about this. It feels like a defense mechanism for her because, like, when I worked for record labels, we did an in-store event with her at Tower, and she was not used to seeing the people watching her play. And so she was like, can we kill the lights on the sort of stage? And it's like, dude, it's fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing we can do here. And so she literally performed with her eyes closed because she couldn't bear to look at the audience.
Which I totally get. Like,
Totally.
Back when I did stand-up, like, if I could see the audience, it changed my entire performance.
But yeah, like, so she has a very specific way in which she, is used to performing, and kind of, and I feel like that's the best way that she's figured out how to interact with her audience and still kind of give a show that, like, it's something that her body clearly does not want to do, like, naturally. And so, like, there's a lot, so it makes sense that she kind of has the same story. It's always a bummer, though, when you see, like, the same artist twice within the same tour and the set list hasn't changed.
It's just exactly the same.
Like, so you at least saw multiple consecutive shows, which that hurts.
We saw
you couldn't
three.
have known.
Kendra, my best friend, and I saw 3 Fiona shows on the same tour, and every single show was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, same with like encore banter, because Fiona doesn't do encores so much. She literally just goes, okay, I walked off stage and now I'm back. Like, she doesn't even walk off stage. She's like, blah blah blah, encore.
Here we go.
And then she does like 2 more songs. And so we saw her in Nashville, St. Louis, and LA, and it was funny. When we saw her in the second show in St. Louis, we were like, oh shit, this is the same show. And then when we saw her in LA, we're like, yep, same show. And then we saw her at a festival do a festival set for like 30 minutes, and even that was kind of like the same banter and kind of same
just abbreviated
attitude. And I get it. I mean, Taylor does the same bits and same banter and stuff.
Hey, if
for
it
her
works.
shows too. Yeah.
Well, and it's
The best is when I don't want to name any names, but for some like comedy shows and concerts and stuff, when they'll pretend to flub a line and be like, oh, I messed up the script. And then you see it again. You're like, oh, this is a bit. Like, it feels like, oh, you forgot your line when that happened. And ha, this is a funny bit. But no, you do that every show. It's part of the show. Staged flubbery.
Yeah. No, it's like, because like I rarely saw artists for the same tour, multiple times, unless like I was fully aware of it.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the Hives like 4 or 5 times for the Black and White tour. Or Black and White album. I saw Blonde Redhead, I think 5 times for their 23 tour. There's a couple I've seen them, and especially like I saw the Playing the Angel tour or Touring the Angel by Depeche Mode multiple times. There was so much AV going into that show. They were not changing a damn thing between shows. But it's funny because like I remember seeing Doves, which is, they're not a band with a huge amount of AV content in them. They're pretty scrappy. So I figured that they would be a lot more variance between the shows. And I saw them at the very beginning, I think, of the Some Cities tour. And they toured and did their stuff. They came back to LA like a year and a half later, and I'd forgotten that they were supporting this album. And so I was like, oh my God, Doves are back. I will totally see them. It was exactly the same show I'd seen a year and a half before, which was fine. It was a good show. I love them.
Yeah.
But also it's one of those of like, it had been long enough that I'd forgotten I'd seen you do this exact same show until I was literally in the same venue seeing the same show again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on, guys. Like, just a little bit of change, just a little bit. It's been a year and a half.
Well, like, Fiona's the only person that I've seen, like, on the same tour, like, within the same calendar year. I saw a Nine Inch Nails concert, and then I saw them also do Lollapalooza, so it was like a festival set, so that was at least different.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen, like, Pearl Jam and then an Eddie Vedder solo show. So I mean, Pearl Jam is always different. They're like Dave Matthews. Like, they're just like, what are we gonna play tonight? Let's just do it. Like, they don't have the same set list every show.
Yeah.
But back to Gaga, the show's really great. I mean, I love her. I'll definitely watch it again. But
when she's such a force for good in so many ways,
and like now more than ever, we need her in our lives, and we need her in politics and stuff. But it was very much like art pop erasure. There's no art pop in the show at all.
Which is funny because I was gonna say it's one of my favorite albums.
That's one of your favorite Gaga albums.
It is because but she has so many albums that are very good. But yeah, art pop I think is the one that really like solidified my fandom for her. I mean, it's funny because I was a fan of the Fame Monster. I really was.
Yeah.
But then she kind of lost me a little bit with Born This Way. But then art pop got me right back.
Yeah.
Like that was.
And then she played one song from Joanne.
Yeah.
And then Joanne is one of my favorite albums. Like, I mean, I love every album differently and equally.
But so I was surprised no Perfect Illusion, like no banger from Joanne.
Yeah.
Like that was.
No banger from art pop.
She didn't do Applause.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I don't know, because I don't know anybody that saw the show or like people that talked about the show. I don't know if she added songs in different cities or if it was the same show every time she stopped.
Which I'm curious also if they trimmed content for the movie.
I mean, they did that with Eras Tour.
Yeah.
They cut a lot of the show.
Which it'd be easy. We can go to setlist.fm and check the Dodger Stadium playlist or setlist and see what she did.
Well, it's funny. I was just talking with someone on Instagram, Michael. Hello. He saw Chromatica at Fenway Park, and we were joking. Gaga loves a baseball stadium.
Yeah, she loves a stadium tour.
But like not a Taylor Swift stadium tour.
Not a football stadium.
Specifically baseball. Like she's done Wrigley Field in Chicago. She's done the Yankees in New York, Dodger Stadium in L.A., Fenway in wherever Fenway is.
Is that Chicago?
No, that's Wrigley.
Oh.
Fenway's in Philly?
Wow.
I don't know. Sports. But yeah, Gaga loves a baseball stadium specifically. I don't know if it's just that shape or what, but yeah, it was a fun show. It was good. It was nice to see. I wish more artists would release their concerts, especially big arena and stadium touring artists. I wish they would do a concert film because we want it as the fans, especially when we don't like going to concerts anymore because crowds suck. Tickets are $1,000.
And seriously, it is a thing where, like, if you wanted to sell it for $50, that's still better than us paying
$1,000.
Yeah, like I'm amazed at how many times I see, like, oh, you know, this artist that you forgot existed, their tickets are $480 for like not good seats, and I'm like, who would spend $1,500 to see any band, let alone this one?
Yeah.
Like I get that, you know, if you love a band, it's worth it to you. But I don't know, seriously, I feel like the most I've spent for a single ticket for a single artist show is $250 per ticket.
When we saw Arctic Monkeys at the Bowl.
And that was literally because we bought a box because we didn't want to deal with riffraff.
But yeah, arena shows and stadium shows are a young man's game.
Yeah.
Like you think about like getting there, parking, or like taking an Uber, navigating the crowds, getting to your seats. It's a bunch of hullabaloo that I don't want to deal with.
Seriously, and festivals are a whole other can of worms. It's funny, I'm literally wearing a Coachella 08 hoodie right now, and like even back then it was still like roughly $1,000 by the time you were done.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
I don't even want to know what it would cost now to do it. But like back when I went, you still got 3 individual paper tickets, and you could sell off days you weren't going to because they didn't do the wristbands yet. So like Coachella wasn't necessarily just, you know, a committed 3-day kerplunk cost. Like,
well, hopefully America will adopt the European system, which Billie Eilish just did with her show.
Yeah.
And like you have to in Europe, it's the law. Like you cannot resell tickets, and you can't resell tickets for a profit. Or maybe it's just you can't resell tickets for a profit. So there is no scalping game in Europe because there's no point to it. And then that makes all the ticket prices achievable.
Yeah.
Like you could get a ticket to Taylor for $100 in like Copenhagen. So it's cheaper to fly to Copenhagen or Paris or where, I forget where it was, but you could like fly to Europe, stay in a hotel, and see Taylor for cheaper than it would be to see her in like Miami.
I think I know people that were flying to Paris to see Adele because it was easier and cheaper than seeing her in the States.
Well, and Adele's doing a weird tour of Germany or like a sit down thing in Germany for 2 weeks.
Oh, really? Like a residency?
Like that's cheaper than Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like I'm glad to hear that Billie, at least, it's in all but like 4 states where it's not legally enforceable in the United States is where she's doing this thing where like, you basically, your tickets are attached to your name. Yeah. And you do have to prove that it is you redeeming those tickets.
Yeah, and if you want to sell it, you have to sell it for what you paid. You cannot make a profit.
Yeah, and it's like through an automated or a specific transfer managed system.
Yeah.
I remember like Radiohead tried to do something like that, I think, back in the day for like maybe like a moon-shaped pool or for In Rainbows, where they tried doing a thing where they were attaching tickets to names, but I'm guessing the tech wasn't fully there at the time, and I think we're at the point now.
Yeah, because it's got to be hard to maintain. It's got to be hard to like follow the tickets, but
I'm glad any artist that is doing more to make it so their artists or their fans are protected and actually able to go and see them is good. Yeah, like, and I'm happy to hear that Billie's working for that one. Like that's a good cause, and like there's like Pearl Jam's done it. Taylor's fought Ticketmaster as well. Like I feel like anytime someone does that, I'm like, oh please, let's keep fighting the system there to make it more achievable for people.
Well, and especially now that like from the jump, Ticketmaster is doing pretty much surge pricing, where like they see the demand for that stadium, and then they tell you how much the tickets will be once they go on. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know how it works, but that should not be legal.
For them to also own the reselling system.
Yeah, that's such horseshit.
That's vertical integration to the point where it feels monopolistic and strange.
Yeah, and there's no way to track if Ticketmaster, if someone actually bought those tickets and is reselling them for profit, or Ticketmaster just put them straight on the reselling site.
Right. There's something that feels always very suspect about that. And like I'm very glad that we buy so few tickets per year for stuff just because, it's.
We maybe go to one concert a year now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We've done more sporting events or like we at least plan to do more sporting events.
Oh, yeah. We have tickets to see baseball. Soccer. I don't know. Live sports is just an opportunity for me to drink and look at butts.
Well, it's an excuse for me to drink and throw peanut shells on the floor. Yeah. Which, seriously, I love that as an attractor to things.
Throwing stuff on the floor?
Peanut shells specifically.
Oh, okay.
Even a restaurant that does that, I'm like, yep, approved. We're going to Bubba Gump. I'm throwing shit on the floor.
I wish we had Texas. I think you can do that at Texas Roadhouse. I wish we had those here. I mean, like always, I wish we had every restaurant in Seattle, but there's nothing here. And having said that, I think it's time to move on to our final segment.
Yeah, it's not an episode until you say that Seattle doesn't have anything.
Yeah, right? Correct, because you have to drive 45 minutes to get what you want. But having said that, let's move on to our final segment, which is What's Your Order? What's Your Order? Now, I have here our trusty blue Rip and Dip shoebox filled no longer with restaurants, but with ideas, because we went through every restaurant really that we eat at or that we would want to eat at. And there's not really anything left to talk about. So I've mixed it up, and in the box now are types of cuisine, locations, maybe holidays. We're just going to mix it up. You never know what you're going to get. So we're going to talk about our order specifically for just like if we want to go out for this cuisine.
It's the connections of food stuff.
Exactly. So Rob, I think, is it your turn to pick? Just
sure.
Pick. You pick it.
Ah.
Got a Julia Robertson.
All right.
So today's What's Your Order will be about
Greek food.
Greek food. Bam, 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 bam. We just discovered the Greek restaurant in our neighborhood, which is really delicious.
Or by discovered, finally went there.
Yeah, we've lived there for 2 years. And we've driven by this restaurant every day for 2 years.
And thought about it all the time.
And we finally decided to get it.
Yeah.
But I love Greek food. My grandparents were big Greek food eaters. St. Louis has a giant Greek food festival every summer, and my grandparents took me to it a couple years. So I've been introduced to Greek food from a young age, and it's always just gyros. My order is a gyro. I love them so much. I think I've said it before. I grew up on a sheep farm, so we ate a lot of lamb. So I've always been just kind of prone to lamb dishes. But yeah, I love a good gyro. I love tzatziki. I always get extra tzatziki with my gyro because I like to dip it in there and get a nice cucumbery yogurty sauce. What else? Oh, and then Greek fries. I love feta fries. Are you going to say any words?
No. I'm sorry. I was letting you go. I was sitting here vibing and just
waiting
listening.
for banter,
I was
buddy.
like,
Waiting for banter.
Sorry. I was just like, yes.
But yeah, Greek feta fries specifically.
Yeah.
I love a good crispy fry covered in feta. It doesn't really stick, and they're so hard to eat. You don't really get feta on your fries. You kind of have to like eat it with a fork and scoop it all in. But yeah, I love a good.
They're a lot of work.
A delicious gyro with fries.
Agreed. No. Okay. So yes, approved on all of that. No. So I was late to the Greek food game. I didn't really get into it until like 2009. Because I was working at a GameStop at the time while I was underemployed, and in our complex was a Daphne's Greek restaurant, and so I went there a lot.
Which is like a chain.
It's like a chain of Greek food, and like their pita is really, really good. I don't know what the deal is, but
super soft.
But it's got a little bit of a crunch factor on the outside, or not crunch, but it's got like a hardened kind of factor. I don't know, it's always warm and delicious. Their side of hummus is good. But yeah, it was always basically the same. I love a Euro sandwich style,
pita
wrap with feta fries. Gotta get the feta fries. That's like the most important thing there. Even like the orzo soup and stuff is always so good though because it's super lemony.
Yeah.
But yeah, the feta fries, seriously, the biggest hassle is that you gotta like make like a little raft of them of like 4 in a row that you can balance feta cheese on.
You can make a little pile of feta on top of.
Although the Greek restaurant in our neighborhood does waffle fries.
Which are easier to fill up with feta.
Seriously, like at least they have surface area that can support a topping.
Yeah.
And so very appreciated because that just takes a lot of the work off of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, honestly, if it's one of those things where it's like, chances are if I see pasta on the menu, I'm excited about it. If there's something that involves feta or goat cheese, I'm probably into it as well. And just the Greek food is, it's a lot of times it's a vehicle for tzatziki and feta.
Yeah. Also, if you've ever been on the fence about getting the pre-sliced Euro meat at Trader Joe's, get it.
Oh, it's so good.
It's super herby. It's got like extra herbs in it.
It's
good,
though.
I love it. You just toss it in the microwave and just make like a quick, easy. I do a lot of Euros with tortillas because it's hard to keep pita bread in the house. We don't eat it enough, so it usually goes bad.
And we
always
have
tortillas.
Always.
So I do like almost like a Greek Euro burrito, and it's just so delicious.
Oh yeah, because we always have hummus. Like we always have a lot.
I eat a lot of Mediterranean food, so we always have hummus, olives.
We always have toum as well. That sort of
Greek spread.
Yeah, that intense like garlicky, salty spread.
Lemony. Oh, yeah, it's so good.
Well, we got spoiled by Zanku in LA.
Yeah,
so kind of hard to live without that.
The other thing I love about Greek, there's a restaurant in Sherman Oaks where I lived for a long time before I met Rob. Well, I lived there when I met Rob, before we moved in together.
Yeah.
But there's a restaurant in Sherman Oaks. I hope it's still there. I don't think it closed. It's called The Great Greek, and it is a fun time. So there's like fast food / kind of deli Greek food where you get gyros and feta fries. But then there's also like Greek cuisine where you like go to a restaurant and order, and they have flaming cheese, which I'm pretty sure it's just like halloumi cheese. They fry it on a little skillet, which halloumi is that squeaky, stiff cheese. They fry it on a skillet, and then they cover it with some kind of liqueur and light it on fire, and they bring it to your table, and it's so savory.
Sounds
and
amazing.
Good, and you just eat it on
and
pita
showy.
or crackers. Yeah. The Great Greek, if you're in Sherman Oaks or you find yourself in LA, head over to the Great Greek if it's still there because it's delicious. Really good wine. Really fun restaurant. They break plates in a fireplace. Like it's one of those that does the like, whoopa, and they break a plate at your feet. It's so fun. I love the Great Greek. So
never been. That sounds amazing though.
We never went there?
No.
Oh God, yeah. It was I lived in a house directly behind it, so we used to go all the time and get takeout. And then the other thing I love, I forgot to mention, I love a Greek salad, especially when I'm dieting. It's like one of the lowest cal salads because it's just a bunch of romaine. It's very filling, and then like onions, tomatoes, black olives, feta, and then just like an herby Greek vinaigrette. Oh, I love a Greek salad.
Cheese makes any salad feel less like punishment.
Yeah.
Like that is one of those things I've learned. Like, yeah, whether it be like feta, goat cheese, whatever. Like cheese is one of those things that just kind of like, obviously when you hit a certain point, it becomes a pizza more than a salad or whatever. but like at a, for a while though, like cheese just gives, it just removes the punishment factor.
Well, and feta is a super low cal cheese.
It's so good.
As it is. So it adds a lot of flavor, really good texture, and creams up anything you add it to. And it's just, if you're dieting, add a little feta to your salad. It's worth it. Trust me. It'll totally help.
Well, and I'm not a blue cheese guy, so like feta is like and goat are like the tangy. Those are the tangy cheeses for me.
Yeah. Also, wasn't there? Correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe they didn't have it on the West Coast, so you probably don't know at all. But in the I want to say it was the mid to late 90s, maybe Jack in the Box. I don't know. Some restaurant tried to do gyros. It was a fast food drive-through style restaurant, and their marketing campaign was gyro or gyro. Remember?
Okay, that I don't recall, but that sounds like a very, very much a Jack in the Box ism.
I think it was Jack in the Box.
If they had the chicken fajita pita, which they still do, by the way.
And Rob got it for me last week when he went to Jack in the Box, and it's still delicious.
So yeah, like if they had that, I'd be willing to bet that they at least explored having the gyro thing, and they are at least aware enough of their audience to lean into mispronouncing it.
I need to Google it. It's probably on YouTube.
That feels very Jack in the Box, though.
It was like a man on the street interview with a microphone, and they were like, "How do you pronounce this word?" And people were like, "Gyro," and then some people were like, "Euro," and then they were like, and it was part of their ad campaign, and it was on their like drive-through sign and everything. They were like, "No matter how you say it, it's still delicious."
They were the ones that did the chipotle chipotle. When they had a chipotle sauce, I believe. I think they were the ones that did the joke about the mispronouncing chipotle. Yeah. So it feels very Jack in the Box.
So yeah, my money's on Jack in the Box.
Yeah, it feels like something they would do
for this. But well, that was a delicious, fun. I think we need to go get Greek for dinner. I'm very hungry.
Agreed.
I'm like starving right now. All I've had is a Cliff Bar and a peach. And that was hours ago.
And seriously, like I become a gay stereotype. All I've had is iced coffee and these sodas.
He's tiny and adorable, but he is rotted on the inside.
I'm a vibrating caffeinated mess. Happy Sunday.
We should definitely go get Greek now, or we could try. There's also a new shawarma place that opened next door to the Greek place, and I'm pretty sure it's all the same food.
Well, but at least they have the garlic tomb though that we can try.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go get some Mediterranean delights because I'm starving. And kind of a short episode this week, but that's because we're recording another episode tomorrow because I'm traveling home to Missouri to see the cicadas. We'll talk about it in the next episode.
Or hear the cicadas, more importantly.
I'm very excited. But I hope you guys are having a great week wherever you are. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Tell all your friends. Share it up. I need to work on I don't know, SEO and tagging and hashtags and stuff on YouTube.
Lord knows we get enough spammy comments about them.
Yeah, I get a lot of comments being like, you should integrate SEO. And I'm like, I don't know. But hopefully we can spread this podcast far and wide through you guys. So thank you so much. Hope you guys are having a great week. We love you. Goodbye.